I knew something was wrong the moment I saw them together. My mother's sister, Auntie Bisi, and the love of my life, the Major. They were standing too close, whispering, laughing like they shared a secret I was not part of. At first, I told myself it was nothing. The Major loved me. He had promised me under the orange tree by the river where we always met. He had said, Abeni, nothing in this world can take me from you. And I believed him, but I was wrong. Before everything fell apart, I thought my life was perfect. I lived in Okeodo, a small village surrounded by hills and thick forests. Life was simple. People farmed, traded in the market, and told stories by the fire at night. I was the village potter's daughter. Every day, I sat with my mother shaping clay into pots, bowls, and water jugs. My hands were always covered in wet earth. My fingernails never fully clean, but I didn't mind. Dimeji was a hunter's son, strong, tall, with a gap between his front teeth that made his smile unforgettable. He was the best at setting traps, the fastest at climbing trees, and the only boy who had ever made my heart race. We met when I was 13 and he was 15. It was a market day and I had been carrying a heavy clay pot when I tripped. The pot shattered and I fell with it. People laughed. I wanted to disappear. Then the major stepped forward, helped me up and said, "You fall like a queen." That was how it started. Little glances, stolen moments, whispered words. By the time I turned 16, everyone knew we belonged together. The elders said we were too young, but we didn't care. We had our dreams. One evening, I saw my auntie busy watching me as I walked home from the river. Her eyes were sharp like a hawk's. I greeted her, but she only smiled and said, "You look happy, Abeni. Be careful. Happiness is fragile." I laughed, thinking she was just being her usual strange self. But then, strange things began to happen. One night, the Major didn't come to meet me by the orange tree. I waited until the moon was high before giving up. The next day, he acted normal, saying he had been busy helping his father. Then I started seeing him and Auntie busy together. It was small things, a conversation here, a smile there, but something felt off. I tried to ignore it. She was my mother's sister, much older than him. It couldn't mean anything. The night before the New Yam festival, I went to the river to fetch water. I took the long path, the one that passed behind Auntie Bisi's hut, and that was when I saw them. The Major was inside. I could see him through the small window, sitting on a mat laughing. Auntie Bisi sat beside him, her hand on his knee. The way they looked at each other, my heart stopped. I wanted to believe I was just imagining things. But then she leaned closer, her fingers tracing his arm. I dropped my water pot. It shattered on the ground. The sound made them turn. The Major jumped up like he had been born. Auntie Bisi didn't even look guilty. She just smiled at me, slow and knowing. I ran. That night, I waited for the Major under the orange tree. When he came, I saw it immediately. The guilt in his eyes. Abeni, don't lie to me, I cut him off. Tell me the truth. He sighed, rubbing his face. It's not what you think. Then what is it? He was silent. I stepped closer. Dimeji, do you love me? Of course I do. Then why were you with her? He hesitated. That was all the answer I needed. Tears filled my eyes. You said nothing in this world could take you from me. I didn't mean for this to happen, he whispered. I slapped him. My hand burned, but my heart burned more. I turned and ran, leaving him standing there. The next day, the whole village was talking. Some had said Auntie Bisi had used charms to trap the Meji. Others said he had always been a fool, that I was the one who had been blind. I felt sick. Auntie Bisi tried to act normal, but I saw the triumph in her eyes. She didn't love him. She just wanted to prove she could take him from me. And the Meji, he didn't fight for me. He let her win. I could have cried forever. I could have begged him to come back, but I didn't. Instead, I went to the old man who lived in the forest. People feared her, but I wasn't afraid. I told her everything and she listened. Then she smiled and handed me a small black bead. When the time is right, she said, drop this into her water pot. Didn't ask questions. I did as I was told. That night, Auntie Bisi drank from her pot. By morning, her voice was gone. By evening, her beauty faded, and by the next festival, she was just a shadow of herself. The Meiji stayed with her, but it was not the same. She had won the game but lost the prize. As for me, I healed slowly. And when another hunter came to our village, one with a kind heart and steady hands. I let myself love again because betrayal is a wound, but it is not the end. I survived and I